All right, so I'm just on here for a couple minutes tonight to be able to answer questions. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to help provide awareness, growth, healing, and transformation. I do this by helping people that have been inside of a toxic relationship be free, mentally and emotionally. Now you might be thinking, why would someone actually trust a guy like me? Well, because I've been on the opposite side and I know how the toxic guy in your life is thinking, how he's feeling, the next moves that he's probably going to make based on things that I used to do, how I used to treat people. So I'm on here today to be able to answer questions, specifically about narcissistic abuse or on the healing process or on the piece of growth and transformation, because my goal is I want you to be able to move forward, actually be free from the toxicity that you're currently struggling in. Right now, you might be confused. You might feel crazy. You might be stuck in the chaos that's happening inside the toxic relationship and not sure what to do. So I want to give this opportunity here for you to just be able to ask questions. So drop questions in the chat of things that you're struggling with, things you're confused about, questions you have about narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder, all of those aspects, and be more than happy to answer them, talk to you about it, and help you find the next step for healing for you. Being inside a toxic relationship oftentimes produces something that looks oftentimes like Stockholm syndrome, something where you become addicted to the toxic person. Like you almost fall in love with your captor, with the abuser. And what happens when you're inside this relationship, you develop these bonds, these lies that he's placed upon you, these thoughts that he's got you stuck with over a period of time. And what they do is they cause this trauma bond. And the trauma bond is this addiction, this cycle, this thing that keeps sucking you back into the toxic relationship over and over and over again. So if this is part of your life, that you're stuck in some version of a toxic relationship, drop a comment in the chat. I'd love to be able to hear from you. I'd love to be able to see what's actually going on inside what you're thinking, what you're realizing. Because all of this needs to be able to help shift and change you. Because if nothing changes in your life, nothing changes. Like you stay the same. Here's the reality of it. All the narcissists do in your life is just keep you confused. If he can keep you confused, you lose. If he can keep you confused, you don't make a move. When you don't make a move, you're dead. Simply because when you are stuck inside the toxic relationship, you start to die internally, mentally, emotionally, starts to erode. Until you're able to actually be free from the toxic person, he's going to continue to control and manipulate you over and over and over again. So what questions do you have about narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder, healing from narcissistic personality disorder, like how to actually move out of this toxic relationship, change your mindset? We call it rewiring. What is this actually going to do? If you're confused, make a move. No, what I'm saying is all the narcissist has to do is keep you confused so you do not make a move. If you don't make a move, you die. Like this isn't just theoretical. Like I know people that I've worked with or people that have had an initial meeting with me, never heard from again. Simply because they went back to the toxic guy in their life and he offed them. Like we've seen this happen. I had a person I talked to a couple months ago now that was in North Carolina, Gaston County, North Carolina. And she was having them file a protective order of protection for her. And she had the police do it, and the kids ended up being home the same time. The dad ended up killing the son and ended up burning the house down and then killing himself. Like the stuff that I do and the people that I work with, like there's not the leeway of, oh, this is a great idea, this is a fun thing. A lot of what I do, it's life or death. Simply because if you stay confused and you don't make a move, you don't actually decide to make a move for you, grow and develop you, oftentimes you'll be dead. So you need to understand that. How toxic it will be many times. In my case, I had my phone hacked, my property vandalized. There's a bunch of things that basically take away your options. Yeah. What does the narcissist think all the games will accomplish? Power and control. Power and control over you, making himself feel like he's better than you. He's not, but he wants to be able to think that. So he's going to try to project that and try to belittle you and beat you down so he feels better about himself. Why my narcissistic boyfriend is not blocking me. Curdy, because it's not his responsibility and you need to actually block him. So you see, when you're going through that line of reasoning, what you're thinking is, why won't he do this for me? He obviously doesn't care about you, which is why he's not with you. So inside of this, I need you to understand it's your responsibility to block him. Don't expect the toxic person in your life to take the high road or be mature at this point. You need to do that. I'm done with my covert narcissist, and thanks to these videos, I've been prepared for what he's doing now, and I finally have left him. They're so predictable and cowardly. Absolutely. And I'm glad these videos have helped. Mine completely sees hookers. It doesn't matter who they are or what they are. He's hidden it the entire time. Yeah. He's going to keep hiding it because he knows that it doesn't fit into society. He knows it doesn't fit into the relationship, and he has to be able to hide it. I have a narcissistic boyfriend too. So inside of this, some of you that are just joining right now, this is a place where you can ask any question about narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder. If you're new here, I'm a narcissist. And what I've done is over the past couple of years, transform my life from being the abusive asshole to being someone who's helped liberate people from the toxic traits and the toxic relationship that they're in one sense, giving the cheat codes and the guidebook and being able to show people, hey, this is what's actually happening underneath the surface. Because if you don't actually get the closure that you won't get from him, if you don't actually get the understanding that you're not going to find from him, then you're going to stay stuck a lot of times. Caught someone else texting him and he won't show me the full messages and said I should trust him. Yeah, you shouldn't trust him because he's not willing to be transparent. How do you get along with a narcissist? If you have to stay with him, how do you not get so emotionally triggered by his actions? One, you need to start creating buffers. You need to start creating barriers between you and him. The other piece is ideally you do want to get away eventually so that you can fully heal. If you can't get away, you won't typically fully heal. We typically don't see that. But when you're in that relationship and you have to deal with, hey, how do you actually get triggered? You have to start dealing with the facts versus the story that's going to be activated. There's going to be a story that's activated by your triggers. So we walk people through the freedom formula, which is helping people understand what their triggers are and the story that's getting activated underneath that. You have a trigger that happens and it'll activate something underneath. Typically, we'll see a piece of it going back to your worth, going back to your value, going back to if you did something different, if you did something better, all different types of things. And so once we get you grounded in reality, it has you take a different approach in your response to him versus letting him make you reactive, like getting him to spiral you out. Instead, you become in charge of your own reactions, your own responses. Mainly, he is alone. Why doesn't he understand? He has 3 children that don't have anything to do with him. He doesn't care. What would you suggest as self-aware to lead? What will you suggest as self-aware to lead a normal life? Honesty, and to get plugged in with therapy. To work with me, I've got several guys. I've got about 15 guys that I work with right now that are narcissists, narcissistic traits, and some of them that are repairing their marriages, some of them that are actually rebuilding their life. The difference is they didn't come to me from the spouse pushing them. They came to me because they recognized who they were, they recognized things that they were struggling with, and they reached out. Some of them do the work and they get the results. Others of them show up, they freak out, they run away. Same thing with people that I see in the healing world. Like that's where we see so much of people that aren't willing to actually face the truth and start moving forward. How do you get them to stop flipping the script and blaming you? You don't. You just stop reacting to it and you stop allowing that shit in your life because otherwise you keep trying to argue with crazy. You've argued with crazy too long. It's not doing you any good. Right now, it makes you feel crazy because you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. Why don't we change that? Instead of you getting triggered, let's having you getting empowered to actually make decisions, not based on his reaction, his response, but based on what you actually need and what you want in your life. He called me nosy for even looking. Yeah, he's going to do anything to be able to downplay it. Okay. My question is, what do I do next when I see her again at work? A lot of times when you're in the workplace environment with another narcissist, you might have to, if it's really toxic, you might have to take it to a superior saying, hey, this is what's going on. Hey, this is how this person is attacking me, belittling me. There's other pieces where when you have to interact with them that has to be just extremely professional. You have to document every single thing, making sure that there's no gaps for them to try to be able to attack you. What would you suggest about addictions? As far as you're addicted to something, like coping with it, or the narcissist addicted? Think of it this way. If the narcissist has a bunch of addictions, if the toxic guy in your life has a bunch of addictions, don't even dream about working on narcissism. Because if you can't deal with the addictions and get some of those off the table and then work on the honesty piece, nothing else is going to change. Do you smoke weed? No, I do not. What are some tips and tricks how you hid stuff on your phone from Kayla? Probably one of the biggest things is I use like Snapchat or like vanishing text. So like I would keep stuff hidden or I would keep stuff locked to be able to make sure that she didn't see or have access. Now she has full access. She has access to like all of my accounts. So she can log in with different things as well. Like she's sometimes on Instagram, like she can just toggle back and forth between my accounts so she can see stuff that's going on there too. It traumatizes you basically when you can't figure out what they're doing. They're spying on you and you can't tell anyone about it. Yeah, 100%. Should I do YouTube videos or is it too overrated already? I don't know where we're going with that. How to work with you and get therapy, got self-aware and others severe NPD collapse. So Omar, you're talking about you have NPD or you're struggling with that? Just go to my website, rawmotivations.com. Click on the one-on-ones. There's a section there just for guys. Okay. Let's see. What was your aha moment when you knew that you were a narcissist? There wasn't a piece that I had that there was just like this light bulb moment. There wasn't this moment of like, oh, I'm a narcissist. It was this like slow fade. It was this, like, I'm not like to say it this way. It's not like the light switch just flicked on. It was more of like the dimmer switch slowly turned on. So it was this piece of realizing, hey, I connect with people different. I don't have the same type of empathy towards other people. My personality style and type is very different. DISC, Enneagram, Myers-Briggs, color code, like all the different pieces. Like, hey, this is really different compared to a lot of other people. Being able to actually see and understand how I showed up differently was just a piece of it opening up. Then there's a piece of emotional intelligence, reading some books on that, like understanding, hey, I don't even know how to process emotions. There is Daring Greatly by Brene Brown, which is dealing with shame. I didn't even recognize that there was shame and didn't even recognize there was narcissism in the book. So there's a lot of different pieces. So like inside of all of this, like feel free, I've got a couple of videos on YouTube that go way more in depth just of my journey, like step by step. If I can't block him, how do I continue a relationship with him knowing that he will never fully commit to him? Do you have kids? Is that what you're saying? You can't block him? Because depending on where you are and depending on some of the resources, that's not 100% true. We have people that have kids that are 100% no contact and the communication only happens through a third party. Or you can block him and all your communication could be through email or through a court-appointed person or through like your attorney. Like you don't have to have contact. A lot of people think they have to have contact, when in reality, I can give you a list of people that do not have contact with a toxic person. What's the name of the book again? Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. That's a big book dealing with shame, talking about it, processing it, all those things. Best tip for someone who keeps attracting narcissistic people and wants to stop letting them in. The biggest thing is you have to heal. Like the reason why you keep attracting them is because there's a piece of you that keeps looking towards that person, that version of that person, and keeps having that door open. Basically what I find is people that continually attract narcissists don't know who they are, bear with me for a second, and don't have consistent boundaries that they hold. Now, the reason why I say don't know who they are is because when you know who you are and you're locked in with certainty in who you're actually called to be, and someone comes alongside and says, hey, I don't think you should be that anymore, let me push you off the road, you don't budge, you don't move. But the problem is you move because you're looking to another person oftentimes for validation, for an opinion, for building you up on a pedestal. There's so many different pieces that happen into it. And oftentimes it's because of the initial image that you have in your mind. Now that could have come from an initial boyfriend, that could have come from your dad, that could have come from like someone growing that you grew up with. But until we actually start changing what you're believing, changing the story that you're actually telling yourself, nothing will change and you'll continue to attract. Once you're inside the narcissistic cycle where you've been with a narcissistic guy and then you've been with another narcissistic guy and then another guy saved you and he was a narcissist and then it just keeps going, it doesn't stop because that's what you're used to. And if you got into a place where you were with a peaceful person and a healthy person, you would freak out and you'd run away. This happens all the time. This is why I have to help you actually rewire your mindset, change what you're actually seeing and believing and grounded on the facts. Because if we don't get you grounded on the facts, you'll start to believe the trauma bond. You'll start to believe the addiction. You'll start to believe that he cares about you when he actually doesn't. And you can prove it by looking at the demonstration, looking at the evidence. Right now, there's not evidence that actually proves that he cares and that he loves you. All there is his words, but his words don't mean anything if we don't actually change the thought process, what's actually going on. No, I'm just addicted to him. 100% is the trauma bond. And until we break the trauma bond, you're always going to go back. I believe my narcissists have shame, and that's where all sex addiction and gratify comes from. Yeah, all narcissists deal with shame. That's the biggest underlying piece there. But then you also deal with shame just from being abused and from not being able to tell people, or feel shame because why am I in this relationship? How come I'm so stupid? Because I'm in the relationship. All these things will beat you up and you'll start doing the narcissistic job for him and start beating yourself up over and over and over again. When in reality, you have to give yourself some grace and understand you might be just learning about narcissism now. You might be just seeing some of these videos and some of these content, understanding, whoa, I was with a toxic guy. then you have to give yourself grace when you look back 4 years ago, 5 years ago. You didn't know. You didn't have some of the tools. You didn't have some of the stuff now to actually let you know, hey, this is what's going on. If we don't see that, and if you don't take a look at that, you start to beat yourself up. Consider for a moment, when you look back when you were 4 years old, you don't beat yourself up for not knowing algebra or trigonometry or something that's high level, right? Because you hadn't learned it yet. But you'll do this inside of a toxic relationship. You'll get free, and then you'll look back and be like, oh man, I was so stupid. And then you start beating yourself up. I need you to pause and give yourself grace. Grace that you didn't know. But now that you do know, what are you gonna do about it? Some of you are ready to actually do something about it. And if you're interested, I wanna be able to offer you an opportunity to be able to run with me for a short period of time and help you actually change your mindset. I'm releasing a new challenge that's coming up called Survivor to Thriver, helping you move from the confusion, the chaos, and you feeling like you're crazy into a place of clarity, certainty, and confidence in who you actually are in the direction you're going, breaking the trauma bond and establishing who you are. If you're interested in learning about that, you can go to rawmotivations.com/survivor. It's a new challenge that's coming out. We're getting ready to pre-launch it this next week, and you can sign up for it just to get access to it. You're gonna have access to daily evolutions. You're gonna have weekly accountability calls. There's gonna be multiple things that are gonna help you move forward, because if we don't make you move, if we don't have you move, you die. You don't move, you die. You stay stuck, and you don't actually fulfill the calling that you're on this planet for, and you simply keep going through the cycle of being used and abused over and over and over again. How do you personally deal with narcissist guilt? My wife brings up issues, and my guilt and shame make me close up and defensive. Isaiah, really fantastic question. One, would love to have you talk with me. Would love to be able to talk to you and just interact with you, see what's going on. Go to my website and see if there's an opportunity for you just to be able to see what I do and if it resonates with you. Go to rawmotivation.com, click on the one-on-ones, go down to the guys section and just talk through that, okay? Because there's a piece there that, like, changing the piece of shame is massive. One thing I want you to understand for a moment here. Shame is not a bad thing. It sounds awful, it sounds bad, and typically when you feel shame, it feels like you're dying. But once you consider for a moment, shame is actually not a bad thing. What if shame was good? Bear with me. It sounds weird, I know. But if you flip the script on this, what if shame was good? And shame wasn't this piece that was beating you down, but shame was a piece that's actually bringing to light the things that if you shifted and adjusted, you would be a better man. You'd be able to open up differently. You'd be able to connect with your wife differently. So just consider that for a moment. Just mull on that a little bit. How do you rewire? I'm gonna get backlogged on these questions. Sorry about that. All right. How do you rewire? Fantastic question, and this applies to everyone, whether you're narcissistic, whether you're working on the healing. This is what we teach everybody. Rewiring your mindset comes down to 4 simple steps. We break it down in a lot more steps because we have to walk you through step by step to make sure you actually get it. But it comes to a place of where you have to stop and understand what you're currently looking at. Take a pause, pull yourself out of the moment and see what's the trigger that's actually going on. What's the thing that's activating me? Trigger, okay, you just got called out, shame. Hey, this just happened, you just feel like a piece of shit, shame. All these things that are going to trigger you. Like you feel like you're not good enough because he left you for another woman, shame. Like there's gonna be all these different pieces that pop up. So you're gonna have this trigger that activates. And the first thing is you gotta stop and you have to look and be like, wait a second, what's actually going on? The second thing is you have to be able to submit. And what I mean by submit is you have to submit to the actual facts of the situation. Many of you are stuck in a toxic relationship, not because logically you get it logically, but there's the emotional piece that is still running the boat. It's still pointing you in the direction you actually don't wanna go. And so you have this battle between your mind and your heart. And so the submit piece is saying, wait a second, let's take a pause on the feelings and let's actually submit to what are the facts. Like, what is the actual demonstration evidence that he's showing in the relationship? So we submit to what are the facts that are actually going on right here, right now. Then the third piece is struggle. And the activity of struggling is going back and forth with, these are the facts, and this is how I feel about it. He says he loves me, but he doesn't demonstrate it. What do I believe? This is the cognitive dissonance. This is the piece that's battling in your mind, the war internally over and over. But you have to be able to look at it, struggle back and forth, and then choose the one that actually is based on facts. That's actually true. And then from there, you have to take action. That action piece is when you actually make the strike. The strike of saying, hey, I'm going to shift my mindset. I'm going to rewire what I think about this. So when the trigger activates, instead of me going down the emotional route and getting activated, spiraled out, and getting reactive, I'm actually going to choose to think about it a different way because I've already grounded myself based on the facts. We have a whole system that we teach, which is called the Freedom Formula. You're gonna learn that inside of the Survivor to Thriver Challenge if you go to rawmotivations.com/survivor. or you can go to Raw Motivations and it has a link there too. But like this whole piece is like you being able to break the trauma bond. If you don't break it, the cycle is going to continue. All right, let's try to blow through some questions here. I've been hoovered numerous times, very addictive. Yeah, 100%. And if you don't get out of that cycle, it won't stop. You'll continue to go back. Completely cut my narcissist off. Now he has a new wife and harassing me. So as much as you can, continue to keep that no contact. It's absolutely important that he doesn't get to you and that he doesn't realize that he's getting to you. Let's see, I read that one. My narcissist kicked me out of our home when he was caught cheating. After 18 years together, married, kicked me out, nowhere to go. I'm in my car, so much more. Yeah, so like reach out. Like there's a lot of people that reach out to homeless shelters, to churches, to different like society pieces, different AA groups, CODA groups, like different things like that. Like reach out with where you are locally. The last Hoover when we separated is called my job to get me fired. Yeah, they'll try to leverage like anything. I believe I got attached to him quickly because I just gotten out of a 5-year relationship right before him. Yeah, a lot of times you're gonna open up the door. Does porn and cheating go hand in hand, or is porn online stuff more likely to be prevalent when there is no other supply in the picture? No, it can be totally prevalent. Like there could be other supply and porn and cheating. Like it doesn't really matter in that aspect. Biggest sign that someone's a narcissist, I would just say a liar. Now, I'm not saying that to be, oh, they're narcissists, because I don't actually care about the label. Like too many of you get caught up in labeling someone when it doesn't really matter. Okay, what matters if you're in a relationship with a liar, you don't have a relationship. You don't actually have a foundation for anything solid. All you have is shifting sand and someone that's going to disappear on you because he's a liar. When we're dealing with narcissism, there's 9 diagnostic traits, 5 of which a person has to have in order to be considered diagnosed a narcissist. If you look at my YouTube channel, just search Raw Motivation 9 traits, you're gonna see a bunch of different videos about it to actually walk you through step by step what each one is. Because if you don't look at that, it'll paint a different picture and you'll just think, oh, he's a narcissist because he's like snapping social media pictures. Like, no, it's much more devious than that. With him being entitled, with him manipulating you, with him having this impression that he's the best thing ever, with there being different aspects of rage and anger. There's all different types of pieces that come into it. But when you see multiple aspects of like, hey, if it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck and it swims like a duck, it just might be a duck. The problem is you also get people that are like, oh, you can't label because you're not a psychologist, you're not certified. We're going off of the attributes. We're going off of the facts. I'm not labeling someone just to label them. I don't care if you're a narcissist or not. If you're a liar, then you're toxic. If you're a cheater, then you're toxic. Like at the end of the day, like if you don't find someone that actually is willing to be honest, vulnerable, and show consistent transformation, you need to leave that relationship. Insanely spot on with all that. Wow, just thank you, start my healing journey. Heather, reach out. Would love to be able to help you. You can go to rawmotivations.com, help you move forward. Isaiah, I've answered. Okay, maybe there's a different one. Okay, how do you personally deal with narcissistic guilt? No, I've answered that one. So stop putting it in the chat. We had a whole couple minutes that we went on that. Married with a narcissist for 10 years. We have kids. My mental health is down right now. I really want to walk away, but I don't know how to do it. I almost lost my life recently from fibromyalgia pain and get worse. Oftentimes the fibromyalgia, like autoimmune disease, hair loss, sleepless nights, gut health, a lot of that comes because you're inside that toxic relationship. I'm serious. Like when I do one-on-ones with people and I do an initial conversation asking and talking to them, seeing if they're a good fit to come into one of my programs, like there's always a question there where I ask, how has this impacted you physically? Because most people just brush it off. No, there's a lot of physical symptoms that come out of this. Like the amount of people that show up on my doorstep that have autoimmune disease, that have hair loss, that have insomnia, that have either weight gain or weight loss or just insane weight fluctuations, is very, very consistent. Simply because when you're in a toxic relationship, the stress and the anxiety push so much because you can't release it and you don't know how to release it, leaves you stuck so many times. Isaiah, yeah, absolutely. Now, is your program for narcissistic survivors healing as well? So 90% of what I do is working with women that have been abused or inside toxic relationships. So if you go to rawmotivations.com, you can see a video there that I have and also an application just for us to be able to see if it'd be a good fit, be able to have a conversation, be able to move forward. I only work with about 15 guys that are narcissistic. Inside the women's section, like that's a much bigger space because there's so many people that raise their hand and say, hey, I need help. The guy that's a liar typically is not raising his hand and saying, I need help. So that's a big piece. How to know if your narcissist is miserable, if he's a narcissist, like if he's toxic. He's not going to show up that he's miserable because he's going to live in his own reality. So at the end of the day, like, what's the point of knowing he's miserable? Are you miserable? Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if he's miserable. Are you miserable? Like, what are you actually doing to develop your mental and emotional health, your strength? Any suggestion for someone working with people in these types of relationships? You got to be able to pull just like factual. You can't bring emotions into it. You have to be kind of robotic when you're interacting with these people. Sometimes you have to bring in other people as liaisons or people to be able to interact in between. Can a narcissist and a borderline live together successfully? They're both oftentimes get really toxic, so I wouldn't really say that. What is love to you? Love used to be control. Love used to be, well, if I'm controlling, knowing where this person is, like manipulating their move, then I think that's love. That's how I used to think about it. Now love is a different piece of actually showing up with honor, dignity, respect, like being able to serve someone else, being able to be there for them, being able to provide emotional space, which I never did before. So it's changed a lot. Do they really reach out? I've been broken up for a month and a half. So June, the longest person that I know of was about 29 years. 29 years and then they came back. So I always say they come back because I'd rather have you prepared and strengthened up so much mentally and emotionally that when he comes back knocking on your door, you don't even have this pull. We had a lady, Anna, who is in our Thriver community and in my Thriver program. And what happened was she had been cycled multiple times, hoovered multiple times, and got to the place where he came back and he was knocking on her door. And she told me later, she was like, there was a change in that moment based on all the work that I've done with you. She said, the change was I didn't answer the door because I knew I wasn't supposed to. She said, I didn't answer the door because I had no desire to. There was nothing actually pulling me to actually open that door. It's massive. Like, it was a huge piece and a huge win for her because that's the piece we have to get you to. It's not a piece where we're like castrating your feelings and your emotions. No, we're actually helping you get clear and get true with what's actually going on. So you realize the manipulation, you realize the gaslighting, you realize the smear campaigns, you realize all these things that are coming at you, and you're able to handle them and wield them and deal with the triggers and process the emotions versus them spiraling you out. You know, when Taylor said, hi, I'm the problem, it's me, she said, gosh. How often do children of narcissists become one themselves? I would say typically when a child of a narcissist is interacting with that narcissist, the majority of their life, they either become codependent or they become narcissistic. Those are typically the two that we see. You don't typically see a super healthy person come out of a narcissist household unless they've had some really good coaching, training, or therapy to be able to help them through. You're telling us things you want us to follow, and if we don't, we have a problem. Who's the narcissist now? What are you talking about? You're telling us things you want us to follow, and if we don't, we have a problem. Who's the narcissist now? Well, one, I'm the narcissist, and I've told you I'm the narcissist, so this isn't a news flash, so if you're new here, welcome. And then two, I'm not sure what I'm telling you to do and saying that you have a problem. If you're a liar, yeah, you have a problem. If you're toxic, yeah, you have a problem. And I'll fight you every day on that because I don't give a shit what you think. If you're a liar, you're a coward and you're an asshole. All right, on with that. I think I found your channel for a reason. I was going to see him tonight. Awesome. So I want you to understand it's okay that you feel that pull. Like, bear with me for a second. It's okay that you feel that pull. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you need to give yourself some grace and understand that you have real feelings, real emotions, and real ties to this guy, even if he's a jerk. Just understand that for a moment. But the thing I want you to understand, and the rest of you that's getting all political in the chat, like, shut up or get off. Like, we're about healing here, not about pushing different agendas. So please stop, because I don't need you all messing up other people's healing because you're pushing your own stupid agendas, okay? So all the little kids that are in here that are going back and forth with all this political crap, get off the freaking platform or I'll start blocking you because I don't have time to mess with you when we're dealing with other people's lives that are currently in the balance right now because they're stuck in a toxic relationship and you're stuck on your high horse. So Anna, back to you. Inside this piece, I need you to understand, like, it's okay if you have these pulls towards him. But when you have this pull where you want to reach out, where you want to interact with him, I want you to take a moment and sit down with a piece of paper, and I want you to write down the toxic things that are going on in that relationship, like the things that he did to you, the things that hurt you, the things that were toxic. And once you write all those things down, look at the very bottom and write a line. And that line at the very bottom is for you to actually sign off on, saying, if I pick up the phone and call this guy, I'm okay with all of these things happening to me again. Because that's the reality of what's happening. When you engage in contact again, you're saying, hey, the level of abuse that you left me on, I'm willing for you to accept that and have it come back. That's the piece of like shell shock that I want you to see. And at the same time, I want you to understand it's okay that you have these feelings and emotions. If you didn't, then there'd probably be something else wrong. So just understand that you're not crazy, you're not alone, you're not helpless. Like I want to help you move forward in the healing process. All right, so let's see what other comments we have. A narcissist who's wanting to help and heal others. Come back when you've healed yourself first, buddy. Hey, thanks. I've been in therapy for 4 years. Invested over $150,000 in my mindset coaching therapy. So would love to have you actually look at some of the content before you just jump on and make comments. But thanks for being here. The problem is you think they aren't trying to end your life, and they are every single day, 100%. 12-year divorce from the narcissist, 3 kids, cycle continues, 2 kids, 50-50 custody, chronic back pain. Yeah, it's awful. Like it is so difficult. All right, let's go ahead, and we've got a couple of people that we need to get rid of because they're not actually helping the conversation. Instead, they're actually breaking it down. Can a marriage counselor help a narcissist? A lot of times I say it's a really bad idea to go to marriage therapy with a narcissist. And the reason why I say this is, well, let me explain it from my perspective. The first time that I confessed that I was cheating, went to a Christian nouthetic counselor. Don't advise Christian counseling if you're dealing with a narcissist at all. I believe in God, I have a connection with God, and I'm very deeply committed to my relationship with him. However, Christian counselors I've seen have actually been some of the worst in perpetuating marriages that are extremely abusive. So just understand, a marriage counselor oftentimes is not going to help inside this relationship because the marriage counselor's frame is typically saying, okay, these 2 people, at least one of them wants to work on the relationship. And the problem is the narcissist is typically selling lies saying, I want to work on it, when actually he doesn't, and he doesn't by his actions. But then he's lying, he's blaming, he's getting the counselor on his side so that you look like the bad person, the crazy person. All of it's a game and a facade. And typically counselors and marriage counselors don't see through it enough. Not all of them, but a lot of them I've seen this, where they don't see through it enough, and it ends up like holding you stuck and keeping you inside a toxic relationship any longer. Am I a narcissist if I don't let my husband drink with friends? My husband is the kind that drinks too much all the time, and he will not go home unless everyone goes home. No, I mean, you're not a narcissist at all by wanting your husband to actually spend time with you. No, he's probably telling you that because he doesn't want to actually feel accountable that he's not showing up for his wife, period. Have you ever had someone you help catch feelings for you? Not necessarily in some of my high-level groups because we vet people pretty well. And inside that, if there ever was something like that, then we would guide them to another counselor, another coach, like someone else to work with that. So more women are narcissistic than men? No, I don't believe that. Been no contact with a narcissist 20 months already, and on 2 separate occasions, he has views my WhatsApp story. Is that a hoover? What does it mean? It means he's just trying to keep tabs on you. I would go ahead and block him so he can't even view that. I'm struggling with sticking to no contact. I just don't understand it. I'm so angry with myself. My mind is such a turmoil. I don't know what to do now. So Deidre, I'd say reach out. Go to rawmotivations.com. There's a couple options there for you, but I want you to find tools to be able to help you. Because if we don't, your mind will get such turmoil that you end up going back to him, or you end up getting into another toxic relationship. Amy, would love to be able to help you. Go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones, and then just watch the video there. If it resonates with you, then move forward. The biggest weapon I've mentioned is the use of technology and other social media. Are you a narcissist? Yes, I'm a narcissist, self-aware narcissist on here, helping provide the cheat codes and showing people, hey, this is how I showed up in the past. This is the toxicity that I did in my life, and to my wife, to all the different people in my life, and helping break it down to be able to show you how you can actually heal from it. Where I am today is absolutely, completely, massively transformed to where I was 5 years ago. Recently, we just had our second daughter. And in that, the whole experience, being at the hospital, having her here, all these things were massively different because I showed up, because I was actually present. Where first daughter, I wasn't present at all. I was more concerned about myself. I was more concerned about my agenda. I was more concerned about going to work. I was more concerned about finding the next affair partner, all these bullshit. And so the difference is being able to break it down and actually show you and give you closure that you can't get from him, being able to help you break the trauma bond, that unless we break that, you're gonna be addicted and keep going back to him over and over and over again. I have a severe covert narcissist ex-female that has engulfed my life with flying monkeys, like a ton of them. I don't want to run. How to put a stop to it. All the flying monkeys, block them. Like, they're going to be just as bad. Why do narcissists withhold sex? To be able to control you. It's power and manipulation. Do you have any free videos on your channel for the narcissist to learn anything? I might have one or two on YouTube. Really, that's been a very small niche of not a lot of people have reached out. So there's not much. I do have that one video that talks about what I do and how I work with people on my website. So that'd be one of the best ones to be able to show you as well. I'm live. Yep. Thank you so much for this amazing work you do. I'm a survivor, and since the past year, my recovery, all my hair has grown back. Yeah, it's massive. Like, it affects so much. People don't realize how much it affects. Brooke, you need help, like, go to rawmotivations.com. I would love to be able to help with that. All right. Another person that it's blocking their comments because they need to be blocked. So we'll get rid of them. Let's see. Oh, it skipped. My spouse said I gaslight them every time I confront them about everything. No, that's just them being toxic. They're not willing to be accountable, and they're not willing to actually, like, be responsible. So as a result, they continue to blame you. So for narcissists, it's impossible to love their fellow human. It's impossible if they're not willing to be honest. It's impossible if they're not going to actually work through their own healing process. Like, if they're not going to do that, then yeah, it's impossible. Because if you only view love by being controlling another person, you're never going to actually find true love and true connection. Can you give me insight, please? My kid's dad called me on Wednesday, popped in my house on Friday, but I wasn't there. My son was at home and told me because he heard a knock at the door that I didn't answer after not speaking to them in about a year. A lot of times with that, like, it's just a different piece of trying to be able to re-engage. It could be different aspects legally. It could be different things of, like, what he's dealing with emotionally. It could be trying to be able to use you to leverage to get someone else. Like, there's a lot of different things. Biggest thing is you being able to focus on you and being able to block and keep as much distance between. It taught me so much. Awesome. After not speaking to them in about a year. Oh yeah, we read that. Set boundaries that I want. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on all these. Never give money to a narcissist. 100%. You won't get it back. What is the stack practice? Wild Honey would love to be able to walk you through that. One way you can actually get access to it, we have a trial that we're actually running right now where you can have 2 weeks to be able to test it out and be able to see if it works for you. You can also learn and go through a virtual book that I have, 40 chapters of walking through the practices that I use on a day-to-day basis, keep me grounded, and what we teach on all levels. You can go to rawmotivations.com/trial. It's the only way you can get to it right now. We don't actually have it live any other way, but you can actually do that. The stack process, I talked about it earlier inside this live really quickly, but in the stack, it's a framework, but we use it, it's like a messaging piece that goes back and forth inside of the app. But what it actually is stop, submit, struggle, and strike. And what that framework is stop and understand the reality that you're looking at, the perception that you're looking at, submit to the facts of what's actually going on. What are the facts of the situation versus your feelings? Struggle by going back and forth, trying to figure out, do you believe the facts or do you believe, like, how you feel, the story that you're telling yourself? And then strike, make a decision, have it actually take action. No, they should be outside.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know.
That's why the lights are going off, except the dogs are outside. And then strike and actually take action. Like, start moving forward and changing, rewiring the story you believe. Because if we don't rewire it, you'll be stuck. Two's behind you. My wife's walking around. I'm trying to get caught up. How to tell whether I'm a narcissist. Look at my videos on YouTube that go through 9 diagnostic traits. You can even go online and you can take different tests just to be able to see. They're not super conclusive, but they at least give you an idea. Have you heard of Leon Walker? He's good content like you. Thank you for information, very helpful. Yeah, I've heard of Leon Walker. I know of several other people. I don't follow. I might follow, but I don't watch anybody else's content really. Wish I knew this 3 years ago. All right, did we catch up? There we caught up. Okay. Do you have any advice for me dealing with narcissistic stepmom? Biggest thing is you have to develop boundaries. Like, you have to set boundaries and you have to be willing to actually enforce them. If you're not willing to enforce them, then you're just going to enable the abuse to happen over and over and over again. Are narcissist addicts less likely to get clean long term? A lot of times, unless it's in their best interest, unless it's going to actually help them look better in society or fulfill more narcissistic tendencies, then a lot of times they're not. What prompted you to start healing people? The first piece was just being on social media. I initially started on social media just having videos like these, just to be honest. Like there was a piece of me that knew if I didn't burn the ships, then there was going to be this possibility, this door that could still be open and me wanting to go back to those tendencies. So I started just proclaiming, this is who I am. And with the radical honesty, it started to eradicate different pieces that I couldn't go back to, or different pieces that now were exposed. And now there was something I could actually talk about. And then people started reaching out and they started saying like, hey, can you answer some questions? Can I meet? Can we talk? That kind of thing. So I started doing like one-on-one appointments. Those kind of turned into kind of like counseling, kind of like therapy type of things where I'd meet with people in like packages. And then we started realizing that that wasn't actually helping people long-term. Not that it was bad, but what would happen is I would work with someone and get them clear on the facts of the situation, and they would get free for like a moment mentally, and then they digress over the next week, and then they go back in the relationship, or they get back stuck mentally. So we started to realize, hey, there's these patterns. And after working and talking with over 3,000 people, we started putting all these patterns together and helping build frameworks so that you can actually move through and change your mindset. Because if we don't change the mindset, then nothing's actually going to change. But that mindset has to be something that you can rely on you and not on me, not on a counselor, not on a therapist, not on anyone else, but you actually have the confidence and the certainty in you to make the right decisions. Sometimes that's just you communing with you. Sometimes that's your connection with God. There's a lot of different pieces that move into this, but you actually having this piece of you getting clear and with the facts and not relying on someone else's opinion or validation, that's what's absolutely huge. Let's see. How do I enforce boundaries with my stepmom when she continues to associate with other family members of mine? My trust in my family is totally dissipated. A lot of times when you get to a place where you establish boundaries, most narcissists don't care. And so as a result, they continue to cross over them. It then comes down to what are you willing to put up with? Like a boundary is also this line in the sand that says, this is the level of shit that I'm going to put up with. After that, you need to start making decisions for you. It doesn't matter about that person. It matters about for you. Like you can have a toxic person in your life that's family that you actually have to go no contact with because they're not willing to respect you. They're not willing to actually help you move forward. Some people hear that and they're like, oh, I could never do that. Okay, then just know then that's what you're accepting in your life and that's what you're willing to put up with. There's not necessarily the amazing management structures when you're dealing with a toxic person except you growing and changing you. And oftentimes that leads people to go no contact with those people. We get a chance to talk to my beautiful wife. Sometimes we do lives. Right now we haven't because she's been really pregnant and now we have a new baby. But we've done a couple lives together. She doesn't do one-on-one appointments. It's just not her jam, not the thing that she actually wants to do. We've got 2 seasons done of our podcasts. We kind of took a break whenever baby and being really sick with morning sickness and all that kind of stuff happened. But that podcast is called Trauma, Drama, and Life. I actually have 3 different podcasts that we have. One, Trauma, Drama, and Life is myself and my wife. Another one, which is just Raw Motivations, which is just my YouTube content, but on audio form. And then we also have Real and Raw with Ben Taylor. And that's actually me documenting my journey of transformation, talking about where I am, what I'm doing, the things that I'm learning right now. A lot of that's me sharing my stacks, what I'm actually dealing with in the moment. And if I react to my family by unfollowing, disassociating with them, do I look the narcissist? The relationship is totally messed up my head. At the end of the day, if you're doing it for your healing, it doesn't matter what they think. Like toxic people are always going to phrase it in a way that makes them feel better about themselves. You looking like the narcissist would be you actually acting like a narcissist. So if you don't have those traits and tendencies, then you're not a narcissist. So whatever they project onto you, they're toxic, putting it onto you. Do you suggest showing one of your videos explaining gaslighting to a narcissist, or look for one on YouTube that doesn't mention narcissism? He needs educating on proper use of the phrase. It's frustrating. There's a piece here that like, it might not be that he needs proper education. It might just be that he's a liar and he doesn't actually care to understand. Or he understands and he keeps saying he doesn't understand to manipulate you more. I've seen that happen a lot, okay? So just a thought. Thank you for your advice. Sorry for putting up a bunch of questions. Sonny, you're totally fine. That's why I'm here. I'd rather have questions than I would some of the other comments that are not helpful, that are just like more like toxic or like trolls. We have respect for our own boundaries that we put out there for the toxic people. We have to respect them. Yeah, 100%. Never knew these people existed, and now that I can see I've been working with them, or they're my family, or some kind of, I've always attracted these types of people. I'm kind, honest, and caring. So, June, it has to do with your boundaries, and it has to do with the direction of life that you're going. Because if you know who you are and the direction of life you're going, and you actually build up this piece of the boundaries holding you to where you want to go, like your vision of who you actually want to be. That's the difference. So when we actually work on breaking people free from narcissistic abuse, we have to break the trauma bond. We have to help them heal the triggers and get rid of those so they can move forward in power and confidence. But then we have to start establishing direction, like who you actually want to be, how you want to show up in multiple different aspects of life. Because once we start understanding those and aligning with those, then you start moving in that direction. And anything that's pulling you away from that direction isn't helping you grow, change, and develop. Okay? Wow, new subscriber. Hello, good to have you here. What do we say? Per boyfriend, when I suggested we do couples therapy, he said yes, so that you can get the therapy to deal with my issues. When he was a narcissist, we did. He never asked how I was. P.S. So I could fix me and deal with him better. He was a narcissist. Yeah, no, 100%. Like a lot of times, narcissists is going to try to project it back onto you. Like, yeah, we should go to therapy. That way you can fix you. You can deal with me. Like, it's a lot of stuff. Like, how about you actually get the healing that you need, bud? Like, yeah, a lot of times they're not going to do that. Are all narcissists bad people until they heal themselves? You tell me. If the person doesn't create emotional space, if he's manipulative, if he's entitled, like all of the 9 diagnostic traits, if those are things that are happening and being toxic in your life, is that healthy? Now, whether you want to label them a bad person or not, whether you want to dive into the religious aspect of are they a sinner, like all those different pieces, what happens by the end of the day is, how is he treating you? Why is it so easy to get addicted to a narcissist? Because they build a trauma bond. You get addicted to sometimes a version of yourself because they're mirroring it back to you. You get addicted sometimes to the validation that they're giving you. And you get addicted to the hope that he's going to get it, the hope that he's going to change when I can show you all the facts in your life that it's not happening. But the problem is until you actually get confronted with the facts and change the story you're believing, you'll continue to lie to yourself to keep the relationship going. Is avoidant attachment the same as narcissistic? No, it's not the same, but oftentimes they go hand in hand. A lot of narcissists are very avoidant as well. And the avoidant attachment, sometimes you'll see different people that will have that inside of narcissistic relationships. They're good at switching it up, saying that you're a problem 100%. They got to be able to throw it back. Narcissists will always switch it up onto you or onto someone else because it can't be their fault. Reason why it can't be their fault, because if their fault, that's the trigger that activates the guilt. Once the guilt is activated, it then produces shame. Once the shame happens, they have to figure out, how do I blame it on someone else so I don't feel the shame? Once that doesn't work, then they rage. And at the end of all this, when they're left alone, even for a brief microsecond, all they're left with is shame because they know it's them that actually did it. So they have to be able to figure out, what do I do so I don't feel this way? Well, easy. Got to get back to regular reality, which is gaslight, love bomb, and future fake, so that I distort your reality and get back to where you're not holding me accountable. I want no contact, but I have this intense feeling at times that I'm being watched by him. Am I being paranoid? Probably not. But let's work on you growing, developing. So even if you are, and even if he's coming back into your life in subtle ways, there's no access. And there's no way for him to even get to you mentally and emotionally. Another Christian YouTuber says to support them while emotionally detached. Support them while emotionally detached. Okay. Then be consistent yet inconsistent with your support of them. They will adore you. You hold the cards. Might help them hit rock bottom. How does that even make sense? I'm not coming at you, Liz, but just like I'm trying to look at this from a way. A Christian YouTuber says to support the narcissist while emotionally being attached. Hey, I support you, but then emotionally being detached. Like, do they understand how hard that is traumatically wise? You're already like have a love bomb and a trauma bond with this person. Like supporting a person without getting emotionally attached is almost virtually impossible. Like this is working with like thousands of people. Like that piece right there, that's almost virtually impossible. Then being consistent yet inconsistent with your support, that's not healthy for anyone. Be consistent in your own healing, in your own growth, in your own development. Don't be inconsistent with what you're doing inside the other relationship. Be consistent with you. You hold the cards that might help them hit rock bottom. Yep. Doesn't sound like this super amazing Christian advice when they're trying to be able to push this piece to rock bottom. Like if he's not willing to be honest and deal with some of these issues, if he's not willing to be confronted and you say, hey, you're a liar in this area, and he's not willing to budge on this, like nothing's going to change. But this is the hard part. When you deal with Christian counselors, when you deal with Christians inside of the narcissistic space, they want you to stay in the relationship and somehow magically get better through it. Trauma doesn't work that way. Counselor will tell you that, the therapist will tell you this, I'll tell you this with working with over 3,000 people. It doesn't work that way. What does it take for a narcissist to want to change their sexual habits with being with a lot of people? It takes a mental rewiring. Like, that's like really deep. A lot of stuff that has to change. Stalking is not only to intimidate you. What can you do when the narcissist is your teen child? How do you help them and protect yourself at the same time? So, Marnie, one of the pieces you need to see is, one, they can't be diagnosed till they're like grown more. But then two, if they're exhibiting narcissistic traits, why? Because that doesn't just come randomly. And it comes from influence. It comes from shame and guilt that they're not learning how to properly handle. I'm not saying it's coming from you, but I am saying it would be helpful to take a look at the entire family system and figure out what's actually going on. Inside of this piece of narcissism, inside the kids, inside the teens, is then how do you actually provide an emotionally safe space? Because you're not going to get that from anyone else, and they don't know how to process the emotions and the feelings. If they don't learn how to process it, nothing actually changes. So that's the piece you have to actually hold space in a different way. Okay. I think the narcissist wants to institutionalize this based on stalking behavior. Yeah. Can a narcissist have many friends who adore him and think highly of him? Can a narcissist be there for friends and family? Yeah, 100%. The question is he there for you? I blocked him and he didn't block me. I still wonder why he hasn't blocked me, because he doesn't care and he wants the door open. He's waiting for you to unblock him. Stop checking out his social media and seeing if you're blocked, because then you're not actually healing. You're still focusing on him. You're still ruminating. He's still taking up free real estate in your mind. I want him to no longer have space in your mind because you actually are moving forward in your healing process. Thanks for helping me through a traumatic covert narcissist marriage. I finally got my divorce, which was super traumatic. They can be extremely super traumatic. Definitely willing to help any way they can. You can check out my website, rawmotivations.com. I have a place there for you to click one-on-ones, and you can actually see a video talking through what I do, how to be able to help you move forward in the healing process. The behaviors have to stop getting the results they're seeking, and that's really hard because it's not just you, it's society that's driving the desired response. I'm guessing, but I'm close. Behaviors have to stop. I don't know what that's going back to. Bible principles don't cover narcissism. There's actually several things in the Bible that do cover narcissism, because it just goes down to lying. In Jude, there's actually some really good references that if you look at it, it's literally like they're painting a picture of narcissism. False teachers, people that are emotionally, mentally abusive. Yeah, the Bible does speak to it. Just Christianity doesn't speak to it. That's the difference. But there's a lot of Christianity that's not really grounded on the Bible. So anyways, that's a whole nother side topic. He's a covert narcissist. I read where it says they're without empathy, but he apologized a lot of times via text message, never in person. Was his apology genuine? So D, what I'd ask you, is his apology genuine? Did you see changed behavior? That's it. If you didn't see changed behavior and he kept apologizing for the same shit over and over and over again, then apology without changed behavior is manipulation. So then no, it's not a good apology, because it just continues to happen over and over and over. If a narcissist gets talk therapy, do you think they still crave to be with other women? Doesn't matter. Like, they could have talk therapy, they could have psychotherapy, they could have like cognitive therapy, DBT, CBT. They could go on a medical journey. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, until they rewire the mindset, like, nothing's going to change. And they're willing to be honest to themselves, to God, to the therapist, like, nothing's going to change. Doesn't matter about the type of therapy as much. Just got the final discard yesterday, how to stop brooding. We have to work on changing the mindset, the thought process. If we don't do that, you'll continue to think and ruminate. Ruminating is based on the story you're telling yourself, but the story is oftentimes not based in truth. It's based in fiction and fantasy and you thinking a different reality than what's actually real, which is why we work with people to help them break the trauma bond. If we don't break the trauma bond, you go back. You get stuck mentally and emotionally over a long period of time. Let's see. My husband picks his step-siblings, who aren't even step-siblings anymore, over his own children and me. Yeah, it's just about image, and because you've already seen underneath his mask, and he doesn't care. When someone says, you don't have to take it so hard, just think of it logically, when something hurts you, does that make sense? It makes sense where a toxic person would say that to you to manipulate your emotional response. No, his behavior is the same. Yeah, so if his behavior is the same, then the apology isn't genuine. Why is there an epidemic of narcissists out there? Broken families and men that don't lead. Our society is crumbling because we don't have men that actually stand up as men. We've got society that doesn't know whether they're coming or going inside of that conversation. And then we also have families that are breaking apart so much that as a result, there's not actually people out there helping establish a generation that's actually moving forward. So they're becoming more materialistic, self-indulged, more about themselves, and it's only going to continue. How do you know if you're trauma bonded? If this person is taking up mental real estate in your mind. I mean, it could be this cycle, could be you want to go back, could be going back, could be this cycle that happens over and over, could be the mental rumination, all different types of pieces, but this piece where he still has this pull on you. How does the narcissist rewire their mindset? It comes first with truth, comes with honesty, it comes with dealing with the facts. That's what I coach when I work with, so I only work with a couple different guys. Peaceful Self, thank you so much. I appreciate just the support. Now, out of everybody that I work with about 15 guys that are narcissistic. Then we work with, on the other side, with the women that have been abused, like the groups and the things we run, like there's hundreds. Simply because there's more in that section that actually raise their hand. But when we're dealing with this piece of what about the narcissist and him actually like rewiring his mindset, it all comes down to his willingness to be honest. So when I engage with a narcissist, what I'm talking and getting them to understand is this: if you want to be a man, you have to stop fucking lying. Like, if that's not the baseline premise that we start with, then nothing's going to change. Like, you can fool yourself into think you're getting results. You can fool yourself into showing up into a therapy session. But until you're actually honest to the level that you're willing to go deep inside yourself and deal with all the shit that's in there, nothing's going to change. That's the end of the day where I don't focus on the label. At the end of the day, the label doesn't matter. What matters is men showing up as liars. And as a result, they're gaslighting themselves and other people, justifying the abuse that's actually going on. Wild Honey, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Did not expect any of this. And so we have to get you understanding and clear. Okay, the light just went off because it's 10. We have to get you understanding and clear the facts of the situation. Because if we don't help you break the trauma bond, you stay stuck. This is what we're actually launching here in just a couple of weeks. We're going to be able to showcase and be able to have Survivor to Thriver Challenge. Inside of this, you're going to get 6 group coaching and accountability sessions with me. You're also going to get daily evolutions, helping you walk through mentally rewiring this thought process, breaking the trauma bond, becoming a different person. Like helping you actually achieve who you are called to be versus this piece of existing and simply being used and abused. Breaking the trauma bond, eradicating the triggers, healing and moving forward. If you want to know more about this, then go to rawmotivations.com/survivor. Because this is a piece that we're rolling out. It's like brand new. It's a brand new thing that's coming up this week. We're rolling it out. You're going to be able to get access to all of that. To be able to help you move forward. Because if we don't help you move forward, you stay stuck. If you stay stuck, you start to wither away. Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, psychologically, all of this stuff. rawmotivations.com/survivor. All right, let me catch up because we went on a little rant there. There's also a bunch of folks that have weaponized therapeutic language without really understanding what the words mean. 100%, that's for sure. Is it true that narcissism is about hurting others because deep down there's distrust and better to hurt them first? There's a piece of that, but that's not inherently just narcissistic. That could even be sociopathic, but it's not inherently narcissistic. It's not like a trait, put it that. Why can't we get them out of your heads? It's because you're trauma bonded, you're addicted, he's holding free real estate in your head. Until we actually help you change the story you believe, you'll continue to have him run through your head over and over and over again. Narcissistic men that went to you for guidance, do they say what prompted them to seek help? A lot of times it's because they actually started to realize and reference like what I was saying. Like either they got sent a video or they engaged with the video or they started being called out or they started to get to a place where they realized something was wrong and they popped in. They realized they were being honest. They'd been cheating. Like there'd been several different things. Sometimes people direct them to. The difference in like the piece that I kind of shy away from is if the woman is setting up the appointment, I don't even want to meet with the guy. Like if he doesn't have enough balls to actually schedule his own freaking appointment, and I've had this happen where the wife just like sidelines the husband who's narcissist, and she's like, yeah, you're going to this. I'm like, no, don't waste my time. If he doesn't have the baseline awareness that he wants to change something in his life, I don't want to talk to him because every single time, those are the worst conversations ever because they don't want to heal. There's nothing that actually wants to help him move forward. The folks that think and feel statements just saying you feel a certain way excuses the rest of what you say or do. I'm not sure we're going to that. I'm sorry. I'll evolve into a giant mushroom. Okay. I was amazed how he blamed me for cheating because I didn't call or text him for 6 months because he led me to believe I was wrong to call and see how he's doing. Yeah, he was probably just projecting. He was probably the one cheating and just wanted to feel better about himself. His mother is dead and treated him horrible based on, she was saying, I don't get it. Man, it's 3 a.m. It's just like a different language. Should I share your page to my narcissist? You can. I mean, like, you never know. Oh, what I would say actually on that, what I would say is like pause. And when you say, should I share my page? I would actually navigate to rawmotivations.com, go to the one-on-ones and click on the guys section and then share that. Because that's going to be more directed and pointed right to him. And that might resonate different. We're married and I'm withering away. Like, Andrea, reach out for help. Go to rawmotivations.com. Would love to help you forward because if we don't get you liberated mentally, like you are going to wither away. How to recognize a narcissist with a God complex. It's like almost all narcissists out there. Like the entitlement piece is like a God complex. Like it's a piece of like, I'm the center of the universe. Okay. My husband is a narcissist and done so much harm mentally to me and my daughter. Elizabeth, I want to be able to help you get free. And you can go to rawmotivations.com because if we don't help you change how you're showing up for you, then all of the mental harm will continue to affect you and your daughter forever. You think I'm joking? I'm not, because I've seen this happen. Like if we don't actually help you heal, it's going to impact her, it's going to impact future generations, and it's going to cascade down into your family forever. Because we have to help you actually break the trauma bond, deal with the triggers, process your emotions, and heal. If that doesn't happen, you stay stuck. Why may a narcissist obsess over financial gain desperately? Because they're looking at the image piece. Money and image oftentimes are the biggest pieces. Any tips for adult child of a covert narcissist that still reaches out after 4 years, no contact? Where are we going with this? Like, do you want to have contact? Or are you trying to figure out, like, how do you stay no contact? Or are you trying to, I just don't know where we're going with that conversation. Like, random tips, like, I'm not sure, like, what random tips you have. If the person's reaching out to you and they're toxic, like, then don't have any contact with them. They're not helping you move forward. The name calling comes from where? Their own inadequacies, shame, and guilt, and projection onto you. They'd rather call you names than be held accountable. Narcissists are cowards. Like, you have to understand, like, there's a big piece of narcissists that are just cowards. So they want to lie, cheat, steal, everything to be able to project on other people. Why are they always thinking everyone's out to get them? Sometimes narcissism have different levels of paranoia. That can be different pieces in there. Lee Hammock, he has different levels of narcissism, but then also paranoia. Like, so there's different pieces where he's always thinking about that. John Smith, this is my full-time job. Welcome to the channel. You must be new. Not really talking nonsense because we work with tons of people. We have tons of data behind what we do and how we talk and how we work with people. But you can keep trolling if you want and talking a bunch of shit instead of actually doing something with your life and not degrading other people, but helping other people heal. He would call me an idiot all the time. Yeah, a lot of times they're going to put you down. No, I'm doing well, no contact, but my youngest child wants a relationship with him. So it's difficult. Like, you could either just say, hey, you're not going to have a relationship and this is why. You could like facilitate a relationship. It would be awkward and be very triggering for you. So we'd have to work on how you're dealing with that. So there's a lot of different pieces there. What was it again? Was it like a husband, a father, like grandpa? Like what was it again? I'm sorry. Why the narcissist won't see his son? Arlene, this is the hardest truth you're going to have to hear tonight. Because he doesn't care. Like, he doesn't care about your son. He doesn't care about you. And that's been shown, been demonstrated by simply the fact that the facts don't prove that he cares. But if he cares, he would actually be here. He would actually show up for you. He would actually be a dad. He would actually be honest. But he's not. So he doesn't care. And there's the hardest reality that you'll have to face is simply the fact that the narcissist in your life doesn't care. The ex told me I wasn't cute enough to have a baby with him. I don't even want children. A lot of times they're going to manipulate you. It's just another way to be able to put you down. Name call, be able to put you down. Okay? Just like the guy just a couple minutes ago, right? Like he said, dude is talking nonsense, get a job. Okay, all that is just projecting on another person, trying to beat me down. Like trying to make me look or make me feel insecure about myself. I'm like, dude, I'm not insecure about myself because of the amount of people that I've helped heal. So like there's a piece of a level of confidence that's not cocky of like, oh, I'm so amazing because I help people heal. No, it's a piece of saying, I've actually watched people who have been ready to kill themselves. I've actually been on calls with people that are ready to go through a suicide, and then out the backside, they're living a well-rounded, fully growing life. So when someone comes on and they're just a little like troll on here, I don't really care. Because at the end of the day, like whatever they're actually saying or doing doesn't matter, because it falls short to who I'm actually called to be, and it falls short to all the people that I help. See, that's like the difference. It's understanding like you're gonna have narcissists, they're gonna project stuff. They're gonna like put stuff on you, trying to throw stuff and make it stick. The difference is you being able to be sure of who you are, the direction you're going, and the boundaries you have, so that it doesn't stick, so that you keep moving forward knowing who you are. Should you give advice to the narcissist new to giving other offer a warning? Oftentimes I would say no, because oftentimes what you do is the exact opposite, and you'll lock them in even more because he's already planned and prepped them to already view you a certain way. So you doing that will oftentimes just further drive them together. So be careful about that. What does it mean when a narcissist is nice to you? Oftentimes it could be like a hoover attempt, it could be like a manipulation attempt. I don't know if I believe someone who's a narcissist can change though. Here's the reality. No one can change unless they're willing to be honest. Majority of narcissists are not willing to be honest, transparent, vulnerable. So as a result, no change will actually happen. I get it. A lot of times people come on the channel like, I don't know if I should believe this guy. You don't have to. You don't have to believe what I'm saying, but I'm going to keep saying it because I know it's true, and I'm going to keep saying what I've done because you need to hear it, because otherwise no one else is telling you this stuff. Otherwise, you have other people that are trying to help you heal that have never experienced it, or they've only experienced it from one side and telling you what's worked for them, but not actually telling you like the cheat codes and the secrets underneath of this is what narcissism is actually doing. This is what's actually breaking down in your mindset. Being able to actually show, hey, this is how I've showed up in a negative, toxic, abusive way, and being able to show, hey, this is how I show up now with a loving, committed relationship with my wife, 2 daughters, brand new one just recently, like all these things that are just absolutely amazing, with our business growing and thriving, with my relationship with God being solid, with me growing and transforming how I show up even like mentally, emotionally, and physically. All of this stuff has been a process of transformation that also gives me the confidence and the surety to be able to tell you, you can transform as well. And I also have the path to be able to help you do that. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, to be able to help transform where you currently are to where you want to go. And if you connect with that, and if that resonates with you, then go to rawmotivations.com. If it doesn't, and you're like, this guy's too weird, too creepy, okay, then I'm not your guy. That's okay. Because overall, what I want is for you to be able to heal, grow, and change and develop you. That's the main goal for everybody. No contents is March 2nd. I am so proud of myself. When anxiety away, I feel so free. That's huge. That's awesome. Doing a good thing is very helpful. I appreciate it very much. Appreciate it. It's a relationship going to work out with a new supply. She's trying to show him he has a sense of morality. He praises her for it. So you need to understand, like, you watching the new supply isn't helping you grow at all. Like, you watching the new supply is, you better get out the popcorn and watch, because you're watching a show. You're watching a facade. You can't tell what's going on from the outside. Why are you interested in helping if you are a narcissist? Sam, really good question. It's been an evolution. When I first got on, it wasn't about helping other people. It's simply just telling my truth, just being honest, burning the ships behind me. Then people started reaching out and asking for help, and I started giving them answers, talking to them, sharing like, hey, this is what happened. This is what I would say he's doing, all these different things. And we started to see actually healing happen. I started to step into a different level of connection, empathy, and purpose. And when this started changing, I started realizing this is actually where God was leading me and helping liberate other people. I work with some guys that are narcissistic traits, liars, cheaters. And then I work with a lot of women who have been stuck in toxic relationships and they're not sure how to get out. Helping them actually liberate themselves mentally and emotionally by breaking the trauma bond, eradicating the triggers, and learning how to process the emotions. We've got some of that coming up with a new challenge that's releasing. You all can check that out if you go to rawmotivations.com/survivor. It's a new challenge we're releasing. You're going to get like sections and accountability coaching with me. You're also going to get just opportunities to be able to engage with the tools, the systems that I use on a day-to-day basis, developing your clarity and your confidence. Also daily evolutions to help change your mindset, help you actually process the triggers and the trauma bond. Why are narcissists mad about not being needed? It's this piece of like rejection. Oh, you're just waiting on it to heat up. Is this chat for narcissists or people how to handle a narcissist? I'm answering questions from both sides. The majority of people that I work with are trying to figure out how to heal from narcissistic abuse. Getting away from this is the hardest thing I've done. I have to keep reminding myself that he'll never change. Yep. What do you do when a narcissist has a deep, dark secret about you and threatens to use it against you? Honestly, the biggest thing you can do is focus on you and move forward. Because at the end of the day, whatever deep, dark secret, no one's going to care in 5 years. Like when you're fearful of that, there is a piece of it being ego. There's a piece of it being shame. You're not going to hear that. And I'm not doing it to attack you. I'm just saying there's a piece of ego and shame that's going to hold you back from actually just saying, okay, if you're that low that you're going to be blackmailing me, why don't I actually just move forward and you can do whatever. She's like showcasing the baby there. I see that. Hey.
It's time for her to eat. She's always like...
She's like hiding.
Yeah. She's like...
She snuggles up like a frog.
That's how she was. Breach.
The whole time.
Womb, like this. She just liked to be cuddled.
There you go. Y'all got to see the 8-day-old? 9-day-old.
Can you just bring up that stuff and then the sock thing when you come?
That stuff. Oh, that stuff?
That stuff and the sock. I'm gonna get her a cloth.
Okay. Sounds good. There's like lots of hearts. I'm like not in the comments far enough down, but there's lots of hearts. All right, let's see. How would you know if you're narcissistic? AC, check out some of my videos on YouTube, 9 diagnostic traits, DSM-5, and just listen to those. Those are 9 things. 9 things that would identify a person as being narcissist or narcissistic. Why would they prioritize someone who can control and materially benefit from, who strokes ego, but they aren't attracted to, over someone they genuinely had romantic connection and attracted to? Narcissist is all about like their image and power control of another person. So they're going to manipulate in multiple different ways. My narcissist shared deep, dark secrets. Nothing really happened, honestly. Worst part was my worrying about 100%. Okay, thank you for putting that in there just for someone who's actually gone through it. That's the biggest thing. People always wonder this about a smear campaign. They're like, what do I do with a smear campaign? You live your life. Period. Like the smear campaign only gets credibility when you react to it. When you don't react to it and you keep living your life and everybody else is like, oh, why is he talking a bunch of shit about her and she's still acting normal and living life how we've always known her? Yes, because he's toxic. So like smear campaigns are just meant to keep you afraid. I've been in a relationship 5 years with someone. I've lost myself completely. Bayin, like reach out for help. rawmotivations.com. Would love to help you move forward. Baby noises. I'm surprised you can even hear that. Like, it's good mic. Just the phone. Can you say happy birthday to my brother? Okay. I've been watching your videos. It's like textbook for what I'm going through. Just started no contact yesterday. So I don't know how to say your names. All right. Sheen, just reach out. Would love to be able to help you. rawmotivations.com. Be able to help you move forward. And congratulations. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. I know she's like super cute. Is there hope for my partner to get better? If your partner is willing to be honest, yes. If he's not, then no. Can you say, no, I'm not going to say happy birthday to your brother because right now you're spamming the chat and you're about ready to get blocked. Came for the gaslight. Now we get the toxic people coming in. So proud of your accomplishment, give you props. I love my narcissistic gaslighting abuser a month ago after a very long time of dealing with my life is so much better. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear it. So refreshing seeing self-aware narcissists that want to genuinely change. The problem, Amy, is there's a lot of narcissists out there who are self-aware. The difference is the ones that actually care. Okay, like you have like Leon Walker, like there's a couple other people like that are narcissists, but they actually want to change. Okay, and so the difference is that if they actually want to change, if they actually want to be honest. Shouldn't all narcissists be shunned? I mean, any person that's toxic, you shouldn't be involved with. The mother who silenced your children's inner voice. Well, what is the thoughts on the title of the mother who silenced her children's inner voice? It's kind of a cool title. My husband is good to all except me. Why do they separate us from parents and treat us like shit? Simply because he can. Like he's going to make you look like the worst person ever, and going to keep putting you down so he keeps an image for everybody else. No, not all narcissists should be shunned. It's a disorder. Clearly, everyone is different. Yeah, but we move into a place of like, oh, it's a disorder, and then we just give people like the option of it's a disorder, so we should tolerate it. No, you don't have to tolerate abuse. Like you don't have to tolerate like people being assholes. Like at the end of the day, like start to actually move forward in your healing, your growth, and your development. If that means you actually have to go no contact, AKA if you want to go with the word shun, but go no contact with a toxic person, do it. You can tell it's getting later. We got more people coming on that are having fun with that. Can a narcissist truly be in love? If he's not willing to be honest about the things that he's doing, then no. You have to understand what's the definition of love. My definition of love early on was control. Does that sound like love to you? No, not at all. Can two narcissists get married? Yeah, be super toxic. You can't work in any way, shape, or form with a narcissist. You have to get away. Yeah, because if that person is not willing to actually be honest, like change, show growth, transformation, like be vulnerable, you got nothing. There's nothing there. Do narcissists experience epiphany? So like moments of them actually realizing? Yeah, but then they compartmentalize it, push it away, and go back to the same exact abusive tactics. Can narcissistic parents actually love their children from an adult child? Can a narcissistic parent actually love their children? I would say look at the demonstration. Do you see them demonstrating love? Now, this is the part that gets difficult because you'll have that one person in the classroom that'll be like, they're just showing love the best way that they can. Yeah, tell that to some of the people that are getting beat every single day. Like that kind of logic, I hate. He's just showing love in the best way that he can. He just doesn't understand that it's abusive. No, when you keep like saying it's abusive, when you keep crying out that it's hurting, when you keep saying that this is not working, you got to wake up sometime. All right. We got some people that are going to be going into timeout here. Irrelevant is the best way to make a narcissist feel to get away from them. Sometimes it doesn't work to get away from them, but irrelevant is really what you want to have them feel so that you heal. Like that's 100%. Exactly. They go back to living denial of the truth and feeding the ego. Is it normal to be in love with an extremely abusive narcissist? Yes, it is. It's okay. Now, you need to understand your love is valid, but it's also misguided inside of the toxic relationship to a place that you feel like it's normal. And it's normal for you to feel that way because of the trauma bond, but we have to help you actually break that. We have to help you actually eradicate the triggers. Otherwise, you'll keep going back. Like the reason why I am very passionate about what I do on here and the people that I talk to and how I communicate and what I talk about is because for some people it is life and death. Like when I'm talking to a lady and she's stuck inside the toxic relationship, cycling back, and she's not sure if she can actually be free. Even though he's already put her head through a wall 2 times, even though he's already drowned her 3 times, and she's still with him. It happens because people get so addicted to the toxic person because they're believing a lie. They're believing that the person actually cares about them. They're believing that their validation stems from that person. They're addicted to that person. And until we help you break it, nothing changes. This is why you just trying to get free, you just going no contact, you just moving across the country, you just getting into therapy doesn't always fix it. I'm not bashing those things because a lot of those are needed for your healing process, but it doesn't always fix it because when you do these things, you have to understand, you have to change the mindset. You have to rewire what you're actually thinking because otherwise you'll believe a lie. When you start to actually practice like good, healthy mantras, when you get into therapy, when you go no contact, when you do all these things, but you haven't actually healed the wound, what's happening is you have a broken leg and instead of getting it set, you're walking on it saying it's going to heal eventually. You've got it backwards. You've got let me grow versus let me heal. If we don't do the healing first, eradicating the trauma bond and the triggers, everything else falls apart every single time. That was my little rant. Why does he deny an affair when every sign in the book is there? What is the end goal when it's clearly is done to me? It's just to keep you confused. If he keeps you confused, you don't move. When you don't move, you die. You stay in the relationship. You don't get healing. You don't move forward because you don't have solid proof. Then you start to justify that everything else isn't that abusive. But if we took away everything else and we just looked at how he's showing up, probably isn't the greatest guy in the world. What if you don't want to break the trauma bond? Then just understand that you're going to be dealing with the same shit for the rest of your life and to be okay with it. I don't say that to be mean, but if you don't want to break the trauma bond, you want to keep cycling back to toxicity, honestly, this is not the channel for you because I don't tolerate that shit. Because I know what it does to people and I know how it breaks people down. And I'm not going to say, oh, you get a hall pass because you want to be in the toxic relationship. You don't. What does it mean for people to have more attraction for people? What does it mean to have more attraction for people with narcissistic traits? It means that your initial image, your imagdo, I'm going to say it wrong, but like your initial image of like love, connection, a partner is messed up. It's not a bad thing. It's not that you're broken. It just means that we have to work on rewiring that, helping you actually have a healthy peace, because otherwise you get into a healthy relationship. You get with someone that actually is peaceful, you freak out. You run away because you're like, this can't be good, but it's actually healthy. You're just not used to what healthy actually is. I can't understand why he contacts and starts out nice, but I refuse to advance these. He starts tearing me down as a woman and a person and starts throwing other women in my face, saying that they're better. All this is to be able to trigger you and control you and to make you actually want to be with them. It's stupid, dumb. It's probably not working from what it sounds like, but you have to understand, like, it's going to happen the same exact way every single time until you stop it, until you make it no contact. 4 years, no contact, one of the best choices I made. It's awesome. Do you think narcissism is something you can grow out of through work therapy? Do you consider narcissism behavior pattern or disorder? So inside of that, there's a piece where I believe it's a choice. Yeah, not a popular opinion. But I can't be here today being diagnosed a narcissist and living completely different without making the choice every single day of how I'm going to show up for myself, for my wife, for my daughters, for the clients that I serve. Like, it's a choice. Now, is there different levels of it? Is there different aspects of it? Is there a spectrum of it? Yeah. Does someone maybe need to go on certain meds and stuff like that? Yeah, maybe. But overall, it comes back to a piece of a person being willing to be honest. If he's not willing to be honest with you, if he's not willing to be honest with himself, if he's not willing to be honest with therapy, if he's not willing to be honest with God, nothing's going to change. At the same breath, if you're not willing to be honest about your relationship, the shit that's happened, the lies that you're believing from him, you won't heal either. Honesty and vulnerability are crux for any type of transformation. How do we heal the trauma that makes us attracted to the abuse in the first place? That's a huge piece that we focus on, helping you rewire the story you believe, helping you actually process the emotions and feelings without even going back and experiencing the same trauma, without going back and having to remember it all. You don't have to, and you should never have to be put in that situation. But you do have to process the feelings and emotions that sometimes have stemmed from it that are now telling you a story or a version of reality now that's not true. So we deal with that inside of the challenges that we run, inside of what I do. You can go to rawmotivation.com, click on the one-on-ones, be able to hear a video from me, and just apply to be able to have us have a conversation. This is exactly what I need today. Thank you. I'm glad. How do I stop procrastination? The biggest thing is understanding, like, procrastination is only hindering you from what you want. So if you don't want it, then understand and change your perspective of what's actually going on. But procrastination is typically because you haven't taken the first step, and then you've broken agreements with yourself, and then you keep doing it. And the addiction to them is real. I had to pray to God for understanding, guidance, and deliverance. Does narcissism, or lack of a better term, feel good? If so, why would any narcissist want to work on their narcissistic traits? It feels good in the aspect that you're blind to reality. So once you actually start waking up, for all of you putting political stuff, get off my platform. Like, I don't have time to deal with you. So inside the piece of, like, if you don't understand and you don't have any awareness of it, then it's a piece of like it's just like bliss, like ignorance is bliss, right? So the narcissist just ignoring reality is like, oh, I'm good. Because he doesn't want to actually admit. If he actually admit and was honest, then you have to deal with reality. 2 strokes dealing with narcissistic abuse and gaslighting by ex. Yeah, 100%. How do you deal with a narcissist that is in your family and you have to see every day? You might have to establish some pretty healthy boundaries, and if they're not willing to respect them, then you might need to draw some heavier boundaries or go no contact. You can choose. Stop believing the lie that you can't choose. How do I know if I'm a narcissist for sure? Google Raw Motivations and then look up DSM-5 or 9 narcissistic traits. Go through that and be able to take a look. Everything is a choice, 100%. Like, how I show up for my wife today is a choice every single day. This is why I stack every single day. This is why I do Core 4 every single day. This is why I do the systems and the principles that I teach every single day. This is why if you work with me inside of the new challenges coming out, Survivor to Thriver, rawmotivations.com/survivor, you're going to learn these tools. You're going to start practicing these tools, because if we don't help you ground yourself mentally and emotionally, you'll continue to go back to the toxic relationship over and over and over. Why would a narcissist who discarded call you from unknowing private numbers and hang up just to trigger you, just to control you, just to show that they're in charge? All those different pieces. It's all a manipulation game. Can the narcissist rewire his thinking without therapy? No, I don't think a narcissist can without therapy, without God. And honestly, like I heavily believe in the tools that I use. Not everybody does, but that's what I believe. Does a narcissist realize and recognize that a good person their partner is? He doesn't care, okay? That's why I need you to understand. Whether you recognize it or not, he doesn't care, okay? He looks at you like you're the toaster. And you're either a good toaster because you produce something that he wants in his life, or you're a bad toaster because you don't give him the sex and the validation that he wants. So therefore, just go find someone else. He doesn't look at you and, be like, oh, this person has intrinsic worth and value. He doesn't give a shit. Like, I don't say that to beat you down. I say that to understand you're looking for validation in the wrong place. Like you're sacrificing all this stuff for him. You're giving all this hope and potential, thinking that the relationship's going to work. You're just trauma bonded in a toxic relationship, and you don't want to actually face the reality. So as a result, you're going to stay stuck. Can a narcissist miss someone? Can miss supply, can miss control. I stayed single for 5.5 years, just quickly married an abusive narcissist who for 1 year has made my life a living hell. Reach out for help. Go to my website, rawmotivation.com. I'd love to talk to you, help you move forward. Do you feel someone can overcome early development trauma to have a healthy relationship, to identify and avoid toxic relationships? Yes, 100%. I've seen it. The guy's clearly reading off a script. Where the fuck do I have a script, you idiot? There is no script for this stuff because narcissistic abuse is ridiculous. It doesn't fit in any norm. It doesn't fit in any box. This is why a lot of therapists and a lot of counselors screw up people and screw up relationships, because all they know is what the DSM-5 has told them in a class. And then when they get in the real world, they're completely screwed. Then when they get in the real world and they're trying to help you heal from it, they don't know jack shit, because what happens is they get to a place where they're telling you, just leave. Like I had a client that just talked to me recently, and the therapist in their life said, hey, I think you need to re-engage contact to get closure. And we're just kind of like, even my client was like, what the heck? Like that doesn't even make sense. Like we've seen this happen so many times where people get stuck in toxic relationships and try to reach out for people that have well-intended advice, but are misguided and hurting them even more. This isn't an attack on therapy. Like people saw a post I did on Instagram and they thought I was like coming after therapists. I'm not. The ones that are like awful, sure. Like I'll come after them every day. But at the end of the day, what I keep seeing is people that arrive at my doorstep because they are fed up with therapy, because they don't have results, because they have plateaued, because literally the words that have come out of women's mouth when they meet with me, they said, I'm tired of therapy because it just feels like a weekly bitch section that I get to the end and nothing's actually changed, because I'm still struggling with the same thing. I'm still stuck. I still think about them all the time, and I'm not actually healed. I've got people that are in waiting lists for therapy. And then they get a younger therapist that doesn't know what in the world they're even talking about, that just graduated and has no clue about narcissism. Like on a given week, on a given month, I will see probably 2 to 3 therapists a month that are in a toxic relationship asking me for answers. It's ridiculous. We had one lady that joined our group. It was actually a while ago. And in her own words to me, she said the year before she spent $10,000 on therapy. We got more accomplished in about 7 weeks than what she did in an entire year invested in therapy. Like, I believe in so much in what I do, I bet everything behind you. The hard part is you don't grow, change, and develop if you just don't show up. I'll give you the tools, I'll give you the path, I'll give you the plan. If you say, hey, I'm not going to actually do the work required, I can't give you the desired results. But if you show up, I don't see people lose. This is why the new challenge that's coming out, Survivor to Thriver, it's priced super low. It's a pre-launch price that we're releasing. You get 6 weeks of interaction and coaching and accountability with me inside of a group environment. You get a tribe that you can interact with. You get an app that you can engage with. You get a way to be able to stack and process all of the feelings, all of the emotions. You get benchmarks and evolutions that are going to help you change your mindset, help you rewire your mindset, eradicate the trauma bond, actually deal with the triggers in a healthy way so they no longer affect and control you. Like, I believe in this so much, I'm saying, hey, I'm going all in to help you transform. The question is, are you willing to actually go? Like, are you willing to actually make a move for you? If you don't, You're going to stay stuck. Like, I don't say that to just be mean, and I don't say that to promote, hey, you should work with me. Go work with anybody. But if you don't actually make a decision for you to move forward in your own healing, growth, and development, you will stay stuck. Therapy has already cost me $250 cash. It's been 2 hours. The challenge that we're releasing, you can go to rawmotivations.com/survivor. The challenge we're releasing right now, the pre-launch price is going to be $297. 60 days, 30 benchmarks, 30 evolutions, 6 group coaching calls with me, a tribe, tools, app, technical support, all of that. $297. Like, compared to majority of therapists and majority of people that are going to give you this much information and time, you engage with this, it will blow you away and it will transform you. Trying to catch up on all the comments, sorry. I have less than 90 days to get my mind right. I need a real exit plan. I'm going ghost mode, ignoring me. In-laws, changing my phone number and contacting you or signing up for something. I would love to be able to help you. The new course is coming out. It's Survivor to Thriver. It officially releases on the 24th. But if you sign up now, you're going to get some exclusive emails from me talking about it and helping engage up until that point. Okay, the new course is coming out. You can go ahead and watch the video on it. You can go ahead and take a look at it. It's rawmotivations.com. If you go to that site, you can click on the Survivor to Thriver challenge up at the top. Or you can go straight to it, rawmotivations.com/survivor. Like, this is me saying, hey, I'm betting all on you. Question is, are you willing to bet on you? Or will you let him continue to dictate and control your life in and out of the relationship? If we don't heal the trauma bond, you stay stuck. If we don't eradicate the triggers, you'll keep going back. I don't say this because I have a crystal ball. I say this because I've worked with over 3,000 people. Like, I've had multiple weeks. Last year, there's multiple weeks where I had like 20, 30 calls a week, working with different people and just understanding that all of this stuff is the same. The MO's the same, the action's the same, the attitude's the same, the manipulation's the same, all the stuff is the same. But it all comes down to you choosing you. Your ability, your willingness to say no more. And to actually step forward, investing time and attention into you, which sometimes is difficult because you've already been conditioned and trained not to spend time with you, not to move forward in your healing process. It's difficult. How to identify a narcissist fast? One that's not willing to respect your boundaries, how they react to no, a liar, someone that gaslights you. Protect children from narcissist mother. Provide emotionally safe space that they won't get from the narcissist. It's been the longest live that I've done in a while. I hope this has been helpful. We'll post it. We'll try to make sure that everybody else can see it as well. Biggest thing that I would say, 2 things I'd say. Wrapping up. You're not crazy. You're not alone. You're not hopeless. Might feel like that. But that's the story. story that he wants you to believe so you stay stuck. And at the end of the day, just understand that if you stay in this limbo land where you stay confused, you won't make a move. If you don't make a move, you die. The version of you disintegrates. The person that you are right now dissipates. The heart that you have stays broken. It's a lot of what I do that has a different weight to it. That's taken me a long time to feel. The reason why I feel it differently now is because I've seen the weight that it's cost. I've seen what it's cost my family. See what it's cost in all aspects of my life. But then I see what it costs my clients, people I interact with on a day-to-day basis. I see people that don't return to what we do here, not because they just decided it didn't work for them. But some people don't return because they're not even alive anymore. This is why I don't hold space or attention to people that just want to fuck around in the comments and don't really care about their own growth and their own development. Some of you watching this today, there's been a piece that's resonated with you that you know, this guy's going to help me grow. This guy's going to help me transform. Some of you, you are identified, I'm your guide. It's great. I want to be able to help you move forward. The other is you, you're like, nah, this isn't for me. Awesome. I hope you've learned, gleaned something from this live to be able to help you move forward. Your growth, your healing, and in your transformation. If I can help you with that today, then reach out. Go to rawmotivations.com. There's an opportunity there for you to be able to schedule a breakthrough call. You can watch a video. There's an opportunity for you to sign up for the new challenges coming out in the pre-launch. All these different aspects. But I want you to be able to heal and move forward. Thank you so much for all of you being here. Many of you have stuck around for a good while. I hope you all have a blessed and a wonderful day. I'm wrapping up for tonight. If I can be of help or a resource, then go to my website, rawmotivations.com. Y'all have a blessed and wonderful night. Y'all take care. Good night.